Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Unoffendable. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds, back again with Salt Strong Unchurched. I want you to think about a time in the last week where you were either offended, frustrated, maybe filled with anger about something. It could have been small as someone cutting you off, or something that someone said snarky in a response, or it could have been something big with a fight with a family member or a coworker, et cetera. So think about that. And if you're like me, it doesn't take too long where you can think of something, maybe even the last couple of hours, that got you riled up, that got you a little angered, maybe a little bit frustrated. And sadly, it's how we're wired. But too, I think with this, I don't know what it is going on with this society right now, but I feel like all of that, meaning anger and frustration and just being offended about everything, seems to be at like all-time highs, at least in my lifetime, when I can remember this many people. And it could be social media, obviously, is making it worse, and just how connected we all are. We get to experience and hear how angry people are. And it's kind of like a snowball effect when, someone starts saying something on Facebook, Twitter, doesn't even matter, and, it's negative or filled with anger and frustration, then all these people just start piling on and just kind of venting themselves. And the sad news, and why I'm doing this podcast on this, the sad news is, this is in our control, one, and two, there are a lot of Christians who were involved in that. And then I would be willing to bet, if you asked some agnostic people, what do you think about Christians, a lot of them would say, oh, they just get offended about everything, and they're, they think they're holier than now, et cetera. And I just finished reading a book called Unoffendable. And you probably agree, certain messages, maybe certain books hit you right when they need to. And one of my buddies, and Stephen in C12, had given me Unoffendable is a book to read. And I honestly was like, it's like, how many pages could you read about not being offended? And I couldn't put it down. It was amazing, all the stories in there. And just, oh gosh, all the examples of ways that we as Christians and people who are, supposed to be not holier than now, but are supposed to be leaders and are supposed to be loving the way Jesus was, and honestly not being offended, how easily offended we are about so many things. And I started looking back just on my life, and even though I talk about gratitude, I write it every day, it's tough to get me really, really riled up. But then again, it's also very easy to get me a little bit just frustrated and kind of offended about, small stuff. And so I sent out an email, and maybe you received this email, maybe you've replied to it. A lot of people did. But I sent an email out on Christmas Day, and it was a nice email. Just talked about Merry Christmas and the birth of Jesus, and it's a big deal here in our family. It's more than just a holiday. And then I talked about just our Insider Club and how much it meant to me and how much it meant to Luke and our family. And many times I wake up in the middle of the night with just ideas on ways that we can add more value to our members, just constantly obsessing about our members. And then that was literally as nice as that. There's nothing even possibly to get offended about. And then at the end, I just said, hey, I'd love your feedback. I'd love for you to reply and, tell me your number one challenge for the year, or a goal that you have. If you have a goal to catch your first slam or catch your first redfish, whatever it is, I'd love to hear it and celebrate it with you. So 100, and I've had some emails in the past that I would say I could see where someone maybe got offended. But the irony is, and maybe you're thinking, oh, it was the Jesus part. Not a single person got offended about that. But I got like 3,000 emails back, 3,000. And even though I didn't promise to reply to everyone, that is my goal. And I'm still got like 180 left. It's been taking me a couple weeks. And who knows how many countless hours. 20 hours, 30 hours of time. I mean, some people wrote a long paragraph. Some people just wrote a sentence back and said Merry Christmas. Some of them I really had to read and think about and give good responses to. But I've really enjoyed it. And I would say about 98% of all the 3,000 comments were incredibly positive, and how much Salt Strong has changed their life, and they love us, and they've been able to go create more memories. And maybe you're one of those people that Salt Strong is really special to you, like it is for Luke and I and our families. And it's something you love being a part of, and you love getting the emails, and you love learning, and you love the community, and you love now hopefully even some of these face-to-face chapter meetings. And so almost all of it was super positive. The other 2% was negative, and it was all over the board. I mean, like there was one person that just said, "Oh, we're stealing from everyone because we didn't learn any of this stuff ourselves, and all we're doing is just selling other people's information and making a profit off of it." I mean, just stuff like that. And I wanted to get offended because it is offensive, right? I sent a nice email, and the person who doesn't know me, has never met me, I don't even think was a member, ironically. And just starts bashing us all. And it was just on, and throwing F-bombs out there, and just incredibly negative on Christmas Day, mind you. And my gut reaction is to guess what? Is to get offended, to get angry, to get frustrated, and lash back out at this guy. But because I read this book, like I said, I believe God puts the right message in front of our face at the right time. And I just kept going back to this. You know what? Like, it's in my control if I want to get offended or angry or stay angry about this or whatever, or if I just want to be grateful for this person. Maybe pray over him. Maybe he lost his spouse or someone special to him on Christmas last year, and this is just a really tough time for them. You never know what someone else is going through, and in most cases, when someone lashes out, it's something like that, like a very nice, well thought out Christmas message, and comes back and just starts calling you a thief and a scoundrel and every other word that you can imagine, and has never even met you. There's something going on in their life that they're either insecure about, that they're struggling with, that they're frustrated with, and they're just trying to lash out. And so I replied to all the negative ones just the same way I did with the positive ones. I just said, "Hey, I want to thank you for even taking the time on Christmas to reply to me." And a couple of times I did, and it wasn't in a smart aleck kind of way. I was just like, "Hey, it kind of almost sounds like you're having a tough one. Let me know if I can pray over you if there's anything else." And most people I never hear back from, but a couple did write back and even apologized because I was so nice in a genuine way, not like a smart aleck way, that I was just genuinely nice and just told them, "Hey, I still love you, and I've realized we've never met before, so I'm not going to get in a war over an email on Christmas. Life's too short, but I love you, and I hope we can win you back at some point." And a couple people did reply back and apologize, and did say that, yeah, they were lonely and going through a really tough time on Christmas, and it just, we were the first one that they could lash back out at. So I tell you all that because there's so many instances where we have that opportunity to get angry. I mean, quote unquote, I had every right to get angry or frustrated about some of these comments that came back at me. But also too, let's go back to our mission statement, and yours might be different, yours personally or your family mission statement, but it's Salt Strong. Our mission statement is to unite people, right? It's to unite friends and family. It's to serve fishermen. It's to honor God and Jesus Christ in everything we do. So anytime that I'm lashing out at someone or even just getting offended by anything, right, that is a reflection on our mission statement and God and Jesus. So there might be someone out there that truly needs God and Jesus in their life more than ever before. And this is my chance or your chance or our chance to kind of wow them and almost kind of throw them off guard. Because most people like that, they're looking for a fight, right? When you come back with them with nothing but just genuine love, it floors them. And many times they're like, man, not all the time, but many times they're like, gosh, I kind of want some of that in my life. I'd love to be able to get an email like the angry one I just sent to that person. and just deflect off me like it doesn't even matter. And it's wild, some of the conversations that have happened in my life and in this book called Unoffendable. Definitely get it, by the way. It's a fantastic book, or even get it on Audible. It's a easy one to read. But so many examples on there where Christians in particular have the opportunity to get offended or to not get offended, and how that looks on Christians in general when all the world sees us as people who just get offended about everything. Right? I mean, there was one quote in the book that someone had put down. It was an atheist saying Christians are the most offendable people on the planet. That's not good, right? And what if it was the opposite, right? What if we were like Jesus? I mean, if you know the story of Jesus and what he went through, I mean, died for our sins, and not once was he offended or angry and just screaming at everyone. I mean, he forgave, he loved. He loved some of the worst sinners of the time, right? He loved on people who were the tax collectors, and essentially a tax collector was, quote unquote, kind of stealing money from the people and using it to go buy nice things. I mean, Jesus went to some of their houses that they probably bought with the stolen people's with the money from the people they stole from. I mean, these are like the worst of the worst people, if you will, in that time. And what did Jesus do? He loved on them. He didn't love them any more or less than he did the really nice people. He just loved everyone. And I feel like as Christians, and even me, I haven't done a great job with that. There are people who do annoy me. There are types of people who annoy me. There are people who don't share my same worldviews. And with everything going on and we've talked about this in the past, just some of the kind of the wars going on, and not the kind of war we think about like World War II. Who knows where all this might lead, but just this almost like a civil war of people thinking differently, and half the group says that anyone of any age should be able to change sex, and you can be anything you want to, and the other half thinks differently. That's pretty triggering. That it's tough not to get angry at that. But what if we as Christians just said, you know what, I'm going to be unoffendable this year. I'm not going to let any of that stuff. That doesn't mean we have to agree with it. Let's be very, very clear. That doesn't mean we have to agree with any of this stuff. Just like Jesus didn't have to agree with the prostitutes and people that he hung out with. He didn't agree with them, but he still loved on them, and he didn't get offended by them. That's my challenge here to you and really to me is I'm not have to agree with any of that stuff, right? But what if I just loved on them to the point that they got so curious and now became less offendable as well, where we're all at least loving each other a little bit more. And that is how we change lives. That is how people like this, the one or two people that did reply to me and apologized. I mean, that's how lives are changed there, one person at a time. You're not going to be able to get to all of them, but the opposite would have happened if I had just charged back and riled back into them. I would have lost every chance to win over that person, to show them what the love of Christ is like as well, right? And this is what this is all about. Well, I would have lost every chance to do that. Never again would that person have given me the chance. But now, who knows where it'll all go? These are, once again, people I don't know, never met before, but there's an email conversation at least starting. And even just to get the fact that someone who came out super angry and ticked off to the point they're ridiculing my family and our company, to get them to apologize. That's a huge step, guys. And now they're probably looking at our site and saying, "Oh gosh, wow, I didn't know these guys were Christians. Maybe you have to look into that. These people seem unoffendable." I kind of want that in my life, because everyone, for the most part, is the exact opposite these days. Everyone is so offendable, and no one really wants to be like that. Right? If you think about it, none of us want to be angry. None of us want to get offended about every single little thing that comes across our path. That's not a fun place to be. It drains you. It's negative. None of us want to be doing that, yet so many of us fall into it. So that is my challenge to you, is to try to work on being unoffendable. It is 100% in your control. That's the beauty of it. It's not like someone can say, "Well, gosh, I can't do that. It's impossible. There's so many things out of my control." No, it's 100% within your control. right? And there's no reason that anyone has to stay angry about anything. There's no reason that anyone has to be offended. We're not entitled to just get offended about everything. The society might tell you that right now, but it's not the truth. And this, I mean, kind of sounds radical because of how offended everyone is about everything. But just think about how awesome this world would be if just the thousands of people that listen to this podcast just started doing it, what ripple effect that could have, right? I mean, I'm hoping this book is a top seller. It's fantastic. And I hope this reaches a lot of people, because if we all just started doing that, it's a ripple effect. Those couple of people who email me really negative stuff and I wrote them back with love and kindness, I literally changed them because I was unoffendable. Right? I mean, this is a massive ripple effect. Who knows what their next interaction with someone was? Maybe it was loving when they would have been angry. Maybe they were going through a divorce or a really tough time in their lives over Christmas, and they were able to create that bond back again, or whatever it might be. This is game-changing stuff for all of us. And ultimately, like I said, it's a way that we can bring people closer to Christ. And to get them to say, well, gosh, I want some of that unoffendable stuff. That sounds pretty awesome. So that's my challenge to you. Be unoffendable. If you don't read the book, I gave you all the cliff notes, if you will. It really comes down to you. And every time that you feel that anger, like I did, I 100% was ticked off when I read a couple of these emails, right? Once again, like 3,000 emails, and 98, maybe 99% of them were so incredibly positive. It's just those handful that just get you riled up. And I wanted to get riled up. I had so many things that I could have said to them that would have made me feel better, but I chose to do the opposite, mostly because this book came at that perfect time. Just like I'm hoping this message hits you at the right time. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be unoffendable. There's nothing you could say. And that's kind of where this author said it changed his life, where he's like, there's nothing anybody could say to me that's going to offend me. And it took a little while, but once he got there, he's like, dude, I'm unstoppable. I literally can't get offended by anything. And that, once again, it's a habit. It takes practice. Just like it took practice for me for those emails. The first email was the toughest. The third or fourth negative one, it was a lot easier. Like, you know, I'm not going to get offended by this. Life's too short. I'm not going to play their game. I'm going to play mine, right? And I'm telling you, it just changed everything. I was in a better mood. I was like, I don't care. They're probably. It even helped me to put myself in their shoes, imagining what they're going through, a divorce or a loss of a loved one during the holidays. And you said, yeah, that's probably what it was. You know, I feel for them. I'm going to pray for them instead of me getting mad and ruining my day and thinking about it 12 hours later, which was normally what I would be inclined to do. So I love you guys. Hopefully this was helpful. Hit me up with any questions or any other podcast ideas for 2024. It's joe@saltstrong.com. Love hearing from you. And I challenge you to be unoffendable here in 2024. Love you guys.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul, it was pain.